All right, time to go back to the future for Marty McFly. I have a subscriber of mine who has been asking me to do this for a while. So here you go, buddy. It is time. Now, I am doing the Pet Semetary movie. So we got Pet Semetary here, and obviously Pet Semetary 2 next. Now, I've always said that I prefer Pet Semetary 2. I know a lot of people call me crazy for that. Some people love the first one and think the second one's dog shit. But hey, it's me. I'm a fucking unusual kind of guy. So I usually have pretty unusual picks. And upon rewatching both of these, which I have since in the last day here, I still stick by it. I still prefer the second one. But I did like the first one more this time. So than I ever have before. So now, let's get into the movie itself. Now, this movie was actually written by Stephen King. Most are just adaptations, but he did the screenplay. Which is never a really good sign because I genuinely just don't think Stephen King understands film. He's a great writer and he understands horror stories in you know, a novel form, but if you really look at his filmography, the stuff that he's had a part in writing, it's just not structured for a film. I don't think he seriously understands how a film is. Like, he hates Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, but he directed Maximum Overdrive, and I'm not saying that just because he's not as talented as Kubrick, that doesn't mean that he understands. I'm just looking at his work as a whole, as a filmmaker, whether it's on the screenplay writing side, teleplay writing side, or if it's in the director's chair. And then the fact that he's opposed to Kubrick's version, which I understand that it is different to an extent, but it's pretty damn similar. I mean, yes, there are a lot of things changed. I'm not going to say there isn't. But I feel like that adaptation is pretty good. Now, the Stephen King's adaptation he did for The Shining, while it is closer to the book, no one would argue it's a better film. It is a better adaptation. But anyway, let's stick to this movie. I just wanted to address that. I would like to go through and do a lot more Stephen King adaptations throughout a time, so I'll get to those here, you know, but there's plenty of movies I have to get to. Now, this movie stars Lieutenant Yar from Next Generation, and Herman Munster as how most people would know Fred Gwynn, but I personally know him as Judge Haller from the amazing My Cousin Vinny, which stars the hottest character ever on screen, Marissa Tomei, in that film. Holy shit. No one will ever be hotter. And now, I think this movie just, there's a very important message in this film. And that is never, ever live by a highway if you have children. Seriously, as soon as they get to this house, I would have been like, that's the highway and here's the road. And then there's a pet cemetery that they show them, like, you know, first day they live there or something. And he goes up there and he looks and there's just 100 fucking animals that have been hit in the street down there. Nope, bye, moving. I don't care what the job is. I don't care anything. Nope. I have a 2-year-old, and I have like another, I don't know how old the other kid is, but no. No. Bye-bye. Okay, so they're a little bit at fault here. Fred Gwynne's character comes over and saves Gage's life, and it's really not a big deal. Like, a truck was about to hit that kid. That kid was almost hit by a truck a couple times in this movie before he was hit by a truck. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm getting at? These parents are at fucking fault. I'm sorry. And playing with a kite right by the road, I mean, Gage is 2. How fast can a 2-year-old run? Trust me, I have 2 children that have been 2. They're not that fast. So they let him play that close to the street and weren't looking as he was running. No. Okay? Parents are to blame here 100%. It was just annoying me. I think the best thing in this movie is Fred Gwynn's voice. His voice, this accent, the whole thing is amazing. I love it. It just is so iconic. Every damn thing he says, especially, you know, the dead is better. Sometimes dead is better. That line, which has been mocked in South Park and plenty of other things, is excellent. And he is the best part of this movie for me. Along with, you know, the girls have, you know, boys have penises, girls have vaginas. The little Gage kid, he's pretty cool in this movie as well. A 2-year-old is one of the best parts of the movie. I think he was like two or three or something. And now, we kind of have an American Werewolf in London thing going on here. Like, this guy is following him around and his face is all mauled up and he's a ghost, and we don't really know if it's there or not, but there is a part in the movie when Lieutenant Yar, yeah, that's what I'm going to call her throughout this review, so get used to it. So Lieutenant Yar is running to board, you know, not the Starship Enterprise, but a plane, and the, you know, the flight attendant or whatever you want to call it, ticket taker girl, she's sitting outside there and she tries to close the door and she can't because the ghost is holding the door open. So that ghost has some ability to hold it open, or we just led to believe that, and he's leading her there. So he actually does kind of exist and has some ability to physically interact with things. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty unclear. I think if I read the book, which is actually a Stephen King book I have not read, so I do not know how close it is, and I can't answer the question. So if someone's read this book and you can explain that to me, how much, you know, interaction this ghost has, and if it is actually there, it seems to be, so, and whatever. So, and we find out that the dad is not welcome at his wife's parents' house, and they get on a plane, leave, and he's there by himself. Man, I couldn't do that shit. That's awful. I totally relate though, because I don't get along with the mother, you know, the father of the mother of my children at all. We won't even be in the same room with each other. So I totally get it. And that's just super sucky. And the fact that he attacks him at his kid's funeral, they would have had to get a second casket right next to my child. Not even next to my child, I'm sorry. It would have been out in the fucking, you know, out in the middle of the road. I was throwing his ass in there and let a truck hit it. You were to fucking throw a punch at me at my dead kid's funeral, I'd fucking kill you. And then I'd bury you in the pet cemetery so that I could fucking kill you again. And I'd just keep doing it. Anyway. When they go to bury Church, the cat, Gwen takes him up there. And he's like, oh no, you know, it's up here. And he follows them up this dangerous ass pathway. And he doesn't even question why. Until they get there. And he's like, you know, they bury the dead themselves. That's the way the Indians did it. Like, it's crazy to me. He doesn't say a fucking thing. He's not like, why are we going up here? As I said in the book, I'm sure he's like, no, dude, what the hell? Why are we going up here? But, or if any of this even happens in the book, fuck. Books can be so different sometimes. But Stephen King wrote it, so I'm guessing it's pretty close. But yeah, I found that to be ridiculous. So it's like, really? You're going to take this treacherous, out of nowhere kind of path that he falls down? He almost kills himself. Like, he hits his head when he falls down. And I'm just like, really? He also hits his head coming out of the bed, like falling out of the bed later. It's pretty funny. Which he doesn't really make a big deal of ever. So I guess just falling and hitting your head isn't a big deal, this guy. Yeah, so I just thought that was absurd. Church's eyes are awesome. I'm guessing they just used the actual effect that a cat's eyes have by filming it with light. I don't know if it was added in post or not, but that's what cat's eyes do when you shine like a light in them. But it just was a really cool effect. We get a Stephen King cameo back when he used to make cameos in his films, and it was really exciting to see him. He just doesn't do that anymore, which is kind of a shame. He plays the minister at the funeral for Fred Gwynne's wife, who hangs herself. And then I know everyone's like really terrified of Zelda and her creepy ass makeup and whatnot. She looks creepy. That part of the movie was just a little boring for me, to be honest. Call me crazy, whatever. But I did like her makeup. That was cool. There's a scene where his wife is upset and he's like, all right, I'm getting you a Valium. And she's like, no, I can't. He's like, you know, he's like, well, tonight you're taking it. And he like goes, like he's forcing drugs on his wife. She doesn't have a choice to take drugs. Like he's like, no, you're taking Valium. I'm giving it to you. I don't know. That actually rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, she has all the right to say fuck off. I wouldn't take it. The scene where Gage gets hit by the car looks insane. I don't know how they did that. I don't know if that was a composite or what, but it looked crazy because that truck was fucking flying up on that kid and it was like right about to hit him before it cut away. So I don't know how they did that, but it was crazy looking. Not as crazy as the Children of the Corn kid getting hit by the car. Holy shit, that actually shows it. It is gnarly. And I like how they, instead of them killing the monster in the house, they burn down the house with the monster in it. And I'm like, really? You got to burn down the entire fucking house? Like, okay, I guess. That's a little overkill. There's also a thing in here where it says that, you know, they think that the cemetery actually came after his child and made him die. So they would like lure them to bring him up there and whatever. That's an interesting thought. Like, so to what extent does this cemetery have power? Power to influence, power to manipulate objects and motivations and people's, you know, actions? I don't know. So I thought that was a kind of, you know, just brushed over, and I was like, oh, okay, so to what extent did it have? And was that just a guess by Fred Gwynne's character? I don't know. And the Gage's kill on Fred Gwynne was awesome. Him ripping his throat out and slicing his Achilles heel and then cutting through his mouth and opening it up like the Joker in Dark Knight. That was great. The scene that made me laugh out loud was when Gage jumps out of the attic like a little torpedo. It looks so fucking funny and actually made me laugh. And during that scene, the music is very Friday the 13th inspired. I also love when Gage has gotten the better, you know, when they gotten the better of Gage. He's like, no fair, that's no fair. And he like runs off and then he lights him on fire. You have any idea, no matter what your kid was like, do you have any idea how hard it would be to kill your kid? Like, even if it's dead and evil and you brought it back, like to burn the corpse of your 2-year-old. No, no. Nope. I like how Gage was hit by a semi-truck full like 60 miles per hour, and somehow all he has is a scar on his forehead. Why isn't he mangled, A, and B, why does he have a scar? A scar? Why would he have a scar? Like, it couldn't have healed. He was in the ground. He'd be dead. So, and then there's this shows this both of them are so inconsistent on that. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, some people come back looking fine. Some people come back mutilated. This kid got hit by a fucking truck. There wouldn't be anything left of his body. The fact that he even had an intact body to bury in the first place is absurd. Whatever. And after that fails, he decides to try again by burying his wife. And then he makes out with her oozy fucking pus face. And gets killed by her when he's doing that. Like, no shit, dude. We find out in the second one that the daughter supposedly kills the grandparents, has a breakdown and kills her grandparents and is in an insane asylum or whatever. I don't know if that's official to this story or not. I mean, this is written by Stephen King and the other one isn't, so I guess it wouldn't technically be. But I thought that was interesting, and I'm glad that there's a lot of addressing of this film in the next movie. So let's get on over to it.